What's up, guys? It's David with How to Beast, and in this video I want to talk about non-attachment, really focusing on the internal, focusing on only things that you control, sort of that Buddhist or that Eastern mindset of not getting too attached to anything because everything is temporary, and really only focusing on your internal self. And balancing this with being able to appreciate the external world, being able to appreciate relationships, being able to appreciate material things like the car you own, the house you own, where you're living, things like that, and why it's important to find your own middle path, something in between the internal and the external, and being able to appreciate the external things without becoming overly attached to them or depending on them, so that when you lose them, you're a nervous wreck, or you're miserable, or you fall into a depression. So a lot of people that learn about meditation, non-attachment, Buddhist philosophy, they think that that's the answer, right? But you can take that too far to one extreme. Buddhist monks, for example, and this is taking it to an extreme, they own minimal possessions. They own the clothes on their backs, and they live in these temples where they don't really own anything. And they avoid intimate relationships. Some of them are even taught to look at the tip of their nose when they talk to a woman, so that they don't tempt themselves into becoming, seduced or into becoming attracted to a woman. And subsequently, they deny themselves, material things because they choose this life of complete minimalism, but B, relationships. So I think it's cool that they do this because, it really does. By avoiding getting material things, getting attached to material things, by avoiding getting yourself in relationships and getting attached to people, you avoid probably like 99% of the problems and the issues and the anxieties that most of us face on a daily basis. But at the same time, while you're avoiding those problems, you also close yourself off to countless experiences and opportunities that really can be awesome and bring you happiness. So that's why I think that goes too far to that end of the spectrum. On the other end, and this is a lot easier to see, in the Western world, we're almost taught and bred to seek fulfillment and seek happiness purely through external things. We're not taught to meditate and to focus on this internal peace of mind that these monks have found. We're taught, fuck bitches, get money. I'm saying that as a joke, but we're taught you want to get rich, you want to how to get a hot wife, you want to get a nice car, you want to be living in a house with 2-car garage, and that's what's going to make you happy. Even if we're not told that explicitly, but that's what we're all trying to do. We're all trying to get a high-paying job so that we can do these things. For us, it's all about acquiring more. And we, in the West, in Europe and the US, a lot of us have completely lost our sense of self because of this. We think we can find happiness by finding a girlfriend or by making enough money to buy X, a nice wardrobe, a nice car, etc., like I said. So I want to dive into first relationships and second material things. Relationships, as I said, you can make the mistake of thinking once I get a girlfriend, I'm gonna be happy. If I just hang out with my boys, put it down for the bros, I'm gonna be happy. And I think it's important to recognize the extreme value of interpersonal relationships, the value of connecting with other human beings and experiencing things with other human beings is irreplaceable. So closing yourself off to those opportunities is stupid. So I think that going to the extreme of the Buddhist monks is stupid. You're closing yourself off to having all these awesome opportunities. Whether it's spending time with a girl you're intimate with, or you're just hanging out with friends, traveling and doing stuff like that. The value of relationships should never be ignored. On the flip side of the coin, the value of external things and objects, whether it's electronics, video games, clothing, cars, houses, all that stuff. I'm not saying you should avoid it completely because realistically, they can add value to your life. If you have a smartphone, it does add a lot of value to your life. It can also subtract if you get obsessed with it, but that's what I'm getting at. You want to be able to enjoy the convenience and the comforts that these things bring into your life, but you can never get too attached to them because when you make them the goal, when you make a nice car your goal, that's just empty. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in a Mercedes-Benz, you're sitting in a Ferrari or a Tesla. If you haven't built up the internal mindsets, or you haven't, had good experiences along the way, or you don't have cool relationships, or you're not at peace with yourself, if you hate yourself, who cares what type of car you're sitting in? It's not going to do anything for you. So while, I'm not saying to avoid them completely, and by all means, if you're a billionaire, you're a millionaire, go buy yourself a Tesla. But once you make those things the goal, the money, the relationship even, but we're talking about material things, and you make them the goal, it sort of removes all the value of them, because their value is more of a complementary value to life. It should never be the focus of your life. So with that in mind, pursuing relationships is good, engaging in relationships is good. Material things should be enjoyed but not focused on. This is when you want to bring it home and tie everything back together with meditation and focusing on the internal. And this is the point that the Western world needs to borrow from the Eastern world. When the external world becomes too much for you, you're depressed because of a relationship that ended, or you didn't get that job you wanted, or you didn't make enough money to buy that car you wanted. Like when these things start to get to you, that's really when you have to take that Buddhist mindset that, that I'm going to self-generate my happiness, I'm going to meditate. That's where meditation comes into play. So meditation should be used, liberally. I think it should be used almost every day. If you meditate every day, those 10 minutes you have alone with yourself, you're going to remind yourself by just sitting there, closing your eyes, focusing on your breath, you're going to remind yourself that you can be completely content. You can be completely happy with just yourself. Yes, like as I said, a lot of amazing things can come from pursuing relationships. But at the end of the day, you need to remind yourself that just being yourself, being alone, completely in the dark, in the depths, in the silence, with your eyes closed is enough. And by bringing yourself back to this point every day, that's what's going to give you that centered base to go and pursue the relationships and enjoy the material things from a place of comfort, of confidence, and of self-acceptance. That's all I got for you guys today. Pursue relationships, enjoy material things, but meditate every day. And of course, stay beastly.